Hi, welcome back to my channel. In the last video we have discussed our understanding about addiction and the recovery process in brief. I hope you enjoyed the video. Today I will take you to a journey where I, along with my friends, will explain you why individuals become an addict. Let me inform you, there are several complex factors that can contribute to why people become addicted to substances or behaviors. It's important to note that addiction is a multifaceted issue, and different individuals may become addicted for various reasons.
Hi, I am Dee. We met in our last video. Today, I will take you through some of the main factors that can contribute to addiction. Number 1, genetics. Number 2, brain chemistry. Number 3, psychological factors. Number 4, environmental influences. Number 5, social and peer pressure. Number 6, physical dependence. Number 7, socioeconomic factors. Number 8, marketing and advertising. Number 9, peer and social networks. Number 10, lack of awareness and education. It's important to recognize that addiction is a complex issue and individuals may have a combination of these factors that play in their addiction. Effective prevention and treatment often involve addressing these underlying factors and providing support to individuals to help them overcome addiction. We will explain you these factors one by one. Number 1, genetics. Some individuals may have a genetic predisposition to addiction. If there is a family history of substance abuse or addiction, a person may be more vulnerable to developing an addiction themselves. Genetic influence. Genetics can play a crucial role in determining a person's vulnerability to addiction. Research has shown that certain genes can influence how a person's brain responds to substances like drugs or alcohol. These genes can affect how the brain's reward system functions and how strongly it reacts to the pleasurable effects of substances. Family history. If there is a family history of substance abuse or addiction, it suggests that there may be a genetic component at play. Individuals with close relatives, such as parents or siblings, who have struggled with addiction are at a higher risk themselves. This suggests that there may be inherited genetic factors that increase susceptibility. Complex interaction. While genetics can contribute to addiction susceptibility, it's important to understand that it's not solely determined by genes. Addiction is a complex interplay between genetic, environmental, and psychological factors. Someone with a genetic predisposition might not necessarily become addicted if they are not exposed to addictive substances or behaviors. Gene variants. Specific genetic variations have been identified that are associated with an increased risk of addiction. For example, variations in genes related to dopamine receptors, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward, can influence a person's response to drugs or alcohol. Epigenetics. It's worth noting that environmental factors can also influence gene expression, a field known as epigenetics. This means that even individuals with a genetic predisposition can take steps to mitigate their risk through positive environmental influences and lifestyle choices.
Number 2, brain chemistry. Certain substances, such as drugs and alcohol, can directly affect the brain's reward system. They can create feelings of pleasure and euphoria, which can lead to a desire for continued use. Let me tell you in short how it works. Neurotransmitters and reward system. The brain's reward system is a complex network of neurons and neurotransmitters that plays a crucial role in regulating pleasure and reinforcement. Two key neurotransmitters involved in this system are dopamine and serotonin. Dopamine's role. Dopamine is often referred to as the feel-good neurotransmitter. It plays a central role in the brain's reward circuitry. When a person engages in pleasurable activities, such as eating delicious food or engaging in social interactions, the brain releases dopamine, creating feelings of pleasure and reinforcing the behavior. Substances and dopamine. Many addictive substances, including drugs like cocaine, heroin, and alcohol, can directly influence the release of dopamine. They often lead to a rapid and unnaturally high release of dopamine in the brain, creating intense feelings of pleasure and euphoria. Desire for continued use. When someone uses an addictive substance and experiences this intense pleasure, the brain learns to associate the substance with reward. Over time, the brain adapts to the presence of the substance and may become less responsive to it. This can lead to a phenomenon called tolerance, where a person needs more of the substance to achieve the same pleasurable effect. Cravings and dependency. As tolerance develops, cravings for the substance can become more intense. People may find themselves using the substance not just to experience pleasure but to avoid the discomfort of withdrawal symptoms, which can be physically and psychologically distressing.
Number 3. Psychological factors. Mental health issues like depression, anxiety, trauma, or stress can increase the risk of addiction. People may use substances or behaviors as a way to self-medicate and cope with emotional or psychological distress. Let me give you some examples. Depression and addiction. Depression is a common mental health condition characterized by persistent feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and a lack of interest or pleasure in activities. Individuals with depression may turn to substances like alcohol or drugs to temporarily alleviate their emotional pain and numb their negative emotions. The use of these substances can provide a fleeting sense of relief, which can lead to a pattern of self-medication and addiction. Anxiety and addiction. Anxiety disorders involve excessive worry, fear, or unease, often accompanied by physical symptoms like restlessness and rapid heart rate. People with anxiety disorders may use substances to calm their nerves and alleviate their anxiety symptoms. For example, alcohol may initially provide relief from social anxiety, but over time, it can contribute to addiction as individuals rely on it to manage their anxiety. Trauma and addiction. Traumatic experiences, such as physical or emotional abuse, accidents, or combat exposure, can have profound and lasting effects on an individual's mental health. Stress and addiction. Everyday stressors, such as work pressures, financial difficulties, or relationship problems, can lead to chronic stress. Prolonged stress can take a toll on mental health and well-being. Some individuals may use addictive substances or behaviors as a way to manage stress, seeking a quick escape or relief from their daily challenges. Unfortunately, this coping mechanism can quickly spiral into addiction.
Number 4. Environmental influences. The environment in which a person grows up and lives can play a significant role. Exposure to peer pressure, easy access to substances, and a lack of positive role models can contribute to addiction. Let me explain you. Peer pressure. Peer pressure is a potent force, particularly during adolescence and young adulthood. Individuals often seek acceptance and validation from their peer groups. If a person's peers engage in substance use or addictive behaviors, there may be pressure to conform and participate. The desire to fit in can lead to experimentation with substances, which, in some cases, can lead to addiction. Social norms. The prevailing social norms and attitudes toward substance use and addictive behaviors within a community or culture can shape an individual's perception of what is acceptable or expected. In environments where substance use is normalized or even glorified, there may be a higher likelihood of individuals engaging in such behaviors. Easy access to substances. Accessibility to addictive substances significantly influences the risk of addiction. If substances like alcohol, tobacco, or drugs are readily available within a person's environment, it becomes easier for them to experiment with and develop a habit of use. Easy access can lower the barriers to initiation and continued use. Family environment. The family is a critical environmental factor. Growing up in a family where substance use is prevalent, or where addiction is untreated, can increase an individual's risk. Family dynamics, stressors, and a lack of positive role models within the family unit can contribute to an increased vulnerability to addiction. Economic factors. Socioeconomic status can impact an individual's exposure to addiction risk factors.
Number 5. Social and peer pressure. Individuals may start using substances or engaging in addictive behaviors due to peer pressure, a desire to fit in, or to be part of a particular social group. Let me tell you why this happens. Desire for acceptance. Humans are inherently social creatures, and the need for social connection and acceptance is fundamental. Adolescents and young adults, in particular, are highly sensitive to social dynamics and often seek to establish their identity and find a sense of belonging within peer groups. Fear of rejection. the fear of rejection or exclusion from a social group can be a potent motivator. Individuals may be willing to engage in behaviors they would not otherwise choose in order to maintain their social status or avoid alienation. Experimentation. Peer pressure can lead to experimentation with substances or addictive behaviors. Individuals may be curious or feel compelled to try these activities because their friends are doing so, even if they initially have reservations. Normalization. When substance use or addictive behaviors are prevalent within a peer group, they can become normalized. This normalization can lead individuals to perceive these behaviors as typical or even expected, reducing the perceived risk associated with them. Consequences of refusal. Declining to participate in substance use or addictive behaviors within a peer group may come with consequences, such as social ostracization, teasing, or ridicule. These consequences can be emotionally distressing and further drive individuals to conform. Instant gratification. Substance use and addictive behaviors often provide instant gratification or relief from social anxiety and stress. This immediate reward can reinforce the association between these behaviors and positive social experiences, making them more difficult to resist.
Number 6. Physical dependence. Some substances can lead to physical dependence over time. When the body becomes accustomed to a substance, it can result in withdrawal symptoms when the substance is not consumed. This can drive continued use to avoid these uncomfortable symptoms. Understanding physical dependence. Physical dependence occurs when the body adapts to the presence of a specific substance. This adaptation involves adjustments in the brain and body's chemistry to maintain equilibrium in the presence of the substance. As a result, when the substance is consistently present, the body functions relatively normally. Tolerance and withdrawal. Two key components of physical dependence are tolerance and withdrawal. Tolerance refers to the phenomenon where an individual requires increasing amounts of the substance to achieve the desired effect or the same level of relief from withdrawal symptoms. In contrast, withdrawal refers to a set of physical and psychological symptoms that occur when the substance is abruptly reduced or discontinued. Cycle of use. The cycle of physical dependence can perpetuate addiction. Individuals use the substance to achieve the desired effects, but as tolerance develops, they need more of the substance to achieve the same effects. This can lead to increased consumption, which further deepens physical dependence and intensifies withdrawal symptoms. Chronic use. In cases of chronic use, individuals may find themselves in a pattern where they are constantly using the substance to stave off withdrawal, cravings, and relapse. Physical dependence is closely linked to cravings, which are powerful desires to use the substance to alleviate withdrawal symptoms or recapture their pleasurable effects.
Number 7. Socioeconomic factors. Economic disparities can contribute to addiction, as individuals may turn to substances or behaviors as a way to cope with the challenges of their circumstances. Here are a few key factors. Stress and coping mechanisms. Economic disparities can lead to increased stress due to financial instability, unemployment, or inadequate access to basic necessities. Many individuals turn to addictive substances like drugs or alcohol as a way to relieve this stress or escape from their problems temporarily. Limited access to healthcare. People with lower incomes may have limited access to quality healthcare, including mental health services. This can make it difficult for them to receive the necessary treatment and support for addiction issues, exacerbating the problem. Lack of economic mobility. The feeling of being trapped in a cycle of poverty or unemployment can lead to hopelessness, which may drive individuals to seek solace in addictive substances or behaviors. Access to treatment. Access to addiction treatment can be limited by economic factors. Quality rehab programs and therapy may be expensive or unavailable for those with limited financial resources, making recovery more challenging.
Number 8. Marketing and advertising. Companies often promote products in ways that make them seem attractive or necessary, even when they are harmful. Let me give you some hints about it. Creating desire and perceived need. Advertisements are designed to create desire for a product or service. When it comes to addictive substances like alcohol or tobacco, or even behaviors like gambling or excessive consumption. Marketing can make these products seem appealing, leading people to believe they need them for enjoyment or relaxation. Normalizing and glamorizing. Marketing can normalize and glamorize addictive behaviors. For instance, alcohol advertisements often associate their products with celebrations, happiness, and social success. This can make it appear that alcohol is a necessary component of a good time. Targeted marketing. Companies often use sophisticated targeting techniques to reach specific demographics. This is especially concerning when it comes to targeting vulnerable populations, such as young people or individuals with a history of addiction. These groups can be particularly susceptible to the influence of advertising. Misleading claims. Some advertisements may make false or misleading claims about the safety or benefits of a product. This can lead consumers to underestimate the risks associated with certain addictive substances or behaviors. Emotional appeals. Many advertisements use emotional appeals to connect with consumers. For instance, drug companies may use heart-wrenching stories to promote prescription medications, potentially leading people to seek these substances as a solution to their problems.
Number 9. Peer and social networks. Being part of social networks or communities that normalize and encourage addictive behaviors can increase the likelihood of addiction. This is particularly relevant in the case of behaviors like gambling or gaming addiction. Here are the key points related to it. Normalization of behavior. When individuals are part of social networks or communities where addictive behaviors are normalized or even celebrated, it can make these behaviors seem more acceptable and less risky. Accessibility. Social networks may provide easier access to addictive substances or opportunities to engage in addictive behaviors. For example, a person's gaming friends may introduce them to new games or encourage them to spend more time playing, increasing the risk of gaming addiction. Reinforcement. Social networks can reinforce addictive behaviors through positive reinforcement. When peers praise or reward someone for engaging in an addictive activity, it can strengthen the addiction and make it more challenging to quit. Coping mechanisms. In some cases, individuals may turn to addiction as a way to cope with social issues, such as isolation or stress within their peer group. This can create a self-perpetuating cycle where addiction serves as a coping mechanism for social problems while also exacerbating them. Shared interests. People tend to form social networks with those who share common interests. If a person's primary interest is a potentially addictive behavior or substance, they are more likely to be surrounded by others who also engage in that behavior.
Number 10. Lack of awareness and education. Some individuals may become addicted because they are not aware of the risks associated with certain substances or behaviors. Education and awareness about addiction and its consequences can help prevent it. Let me inform you some factors about the same. Misunderstanding of risks. Some individuals may not fully comprehend the physical, psychological, and social risks associated with addictive substances or behaviors. They may underestimate the potential harm and assume that their use or engagement is relatively safe. Lack of recognizing early signs. People may not recognize the early signs of addiction in themselves or others if they are unaware of what these signs are. This can delay intervention and treatment, allowing the addiction to progress. Self-medication. Some individuals turn to addictive substances or behaviors as a way to self-medicate for underlying mental health issues or emotional distress. Without proper education, they may not realize healthier coping strategies are available. Access to resources. Lack of awareness about addiction treatment and support services can hinder individuals from seeking help when they realize they have an addiction. They may not know where to turn for assistance.
Today we discussed 10 major points about why people become addict. We will share more videos about addiction and its prevention method. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and bell icon to get all our notifications instantly. Thank you.